Well, Body of Land was the first work I had done after about 4 years away. And in those 4 years, what had happened, I had moved back home, which is the blood reserve. I had moved back home and I had just cut off all connection to anything and anybody related to art. And it was a conscious decision on my part. I think at that time I was starting to feel a bit that there was too much outside things happening outside of the art. So I moved home and I was just with family. I had been living in Calgary and other places for some time. And when I moved back home, I was hearing Blackfoot again every day. And so it just really brought me back to where I started from. And so Body of Land is a very personal work. It is about landscape, and that's when everything seemed to come together in Body of Land. It's about me, it's about skin, it's about people, it's about my family, community, and it's about land. Because when I was growing up, and in a lot of places back home, you'll see these coulees along the river bottoms. And the coulees are very, to me, have womanly shapes, and they're very kind to the eye. They slope off toward the river, and all these hills come, and there's just layers of them. So that was one of the things that I had thought of. Another thing was, thinking back on it, Body of Land, it started to develop a very strong personal vocabulary and language for me in my art making, because it was so close to me. Like, it was me, it is me. And so I think those were some of the things that I articulated during that time. And so when it came out, it was just as easy as taking a digital camera and shooting a close-up of my skin. The images are of my skin when I first started out, and the manipulation of the images was more at the beginning, because I didn't want that distraction for the viewer to start wondering, oh, is that a hand? Or, to start trying to puzzle it out. And so there was a lot of manipulation of the images, and depending on the shot, it would turn out to be a very hot orange clay, or very cold, be almost like a purple. And then as time went on, I started using other people in my family. There's one that's still in there. It's of my grandson, and it's like a little landscape in itself. It's, the little bones at the base of the neck, on the spine, those little knolls. That's what I shot of his body. And then from there, I guess it just keeps growing. It's of my family. It's of when it was shown in London, a teacher brought her class. And so we shot some of their skin. And so it's a real, I guess, transient is the word, piece, as far as and the National Gallery, I'm very happy to say that they've allowed it to keep growing. And so even from the last time that I was here, it's kept a lot of the older pieces, but you'll see now some of them are more and more realistic. Like, some you'll see the hair, some you'll see the pores. So it has grown to that point where I'm okay with them knowing that it is realistically, the look is skin. When it was first installed in Kelowna, I was in a kind of a longish rectangular room, and about halfway down is when the landscape started. And that's when I knew that, I already was feeling good about this idea that I wanted to make, I guess. But when I went in there and all the units were up on the wall, there was a point where I was just diminished in scale, and I became their size in my mind. And there was such a sense of comfort that I belonged here, like with all this, and I'm part of this landscape. That to me said, good job. It felt really good, because it was maybe one of the first times that I had actually placed myself physically into my work. And it is, I think probably for a lot of artists, it's a tough decision to do that. I think it reflects what my home is to me. And I grew up in that landscape, and it's a very, very reassuring, and not just the physical part of being home, but that extension to family, to language, to being confident in my place. There are no, it's soft, just like a body or a mother. I guess the landscape of her body is very soft, and so that, I think, it's always given me freedom to work. It's also, there's a lot of wind in southern Alberta, and so there's times when you'll see a whole field of grass and it'll just ripple with the wind. And I used to, when I was younger, I used to not like the wind so much, just for whatever reason. But I think that is you're maturing into it, knowing that, you know, like it makes the landscape come alive. And that's what moves it, and it's just a really beautiful sight. And I think too, I've always, even if a work comes out of something that is maybe grief or something unpleasant, I've always chosen to use beauty to translate it.